Before we dive into this story, I want to talk about a book that stayed with me long after I turned the final page. About 2 years ago, I read 9 Years Among the Indians, the first-hand account of Herman Lehmann. If you want to understand the real brutal history of the American frontier, you have to read this. There were once over 550 indigenous nations across this continent, each with its own complex, often harsh culture. And let me be clear, this story is as far away from any Winnetou romanticism as you can possibly get. There are no noble silhouettes in this sunset here. This is about raw survival, the crushing weight of torture and the psychological destruction of a child. I recommend this book to anyone who isn't afraid of the unvarnished truth. This is the story of Herman Lehmann, the brutal transformation of a German settler boy, the disappearance and the torture. In 1870, the Texas frontier was a place of blood and dust. 9-year-old Herman Lehmann was snatched from his family by Apaches. But there was no adoption at first, only agony. To break his spirit, they hung him horizontally for nights. A heavy stone weighed down his small body, testing his endurance to the point of collapse. He was a toy for their cruelty, and it is whispered that his foster father subjected him to the darkest betrayal of trust a child can endure. To survive, Herman had to bury the boy he once was. The ultimate test. The Apaches gave him one final choice. They laid out 2 meals. One was cooked, roasted meat, the food of the white man. Yummy, yummy. The other was a pail of raw, bloody entrails. Herman looked at the cooked meat, smelling of home, and knew it was a death warrant. If he reached for it, they would kill him on the spot. With a heart of ice, he grabbed the raw guts and forced them down. In that moment, the German settler died. The predator was born, adapt or perish. The Ascension. Herman transformed. After killing an Apache medicine man in a fight of rage, he fled into the wasteland, living like a feral ghost for a year, until the Comanche found him. He rode with them, took scalps, and raided the very settlements he once called home. The German farmer was a ghost. A Comanche brave had taken his place. The stolen peace. That tragedy wasn't the capture, it was the rescue. In 1878, the US cavalry forcibly dragged him back to his mother's porch. He arrived in buckskins, smelling of wood smoke and leather, unable to speak a word of German or English. They tried to civilize him, but you cannot cage a wolf. He couldn't stand the feel of a bed. He slept on the hard floor. He played dark, vicious pranks on his family, his mind still tuned to the brutal humor of the warpath. He was now a stranger in his own bloodline. The eternal outcast. Herman Lehmann lived in the cracks between 2 worlds. Too Indian for the whites, but too white for the reservation. He is the ultimate patron saint of this channel. He proved that identity is a battleground. He showed us that when the world tries to break you, strip you of your name, and force you into a box, you can outlast the pain and forge a spirit that belongs only to the wild. He was lost. He was found. But he was never conquered. Herman Lehmann, the ultimate outcast of the West.